So I just completed another video about following the Gossamer thread, which hopefully you'll watch. But along that note, I want to talk about this concept of your rules, not mine. And to start this off, I want to tell a little story about, I don't know, maybe 4 years ago, I was with one of my older daughters, and we were out shopping, and I saw PetSmart. And I was like, we were talking about getting a puppy or whatever. And so we went in there, and I had absolutely no intention of buying a dog at that place. And we went in there and we saw all these poor animals behind the glass, and they all look so cute and so helpless, and like they need to be rescued, which they do. And there's a lot we could say about how PetSmart does business, which is seems pretty awful. But short story is there's a little puppy that my daughter wanted to um, look at more closely, and of course there was the employee there said, "Hey, I'll get the dog for you." So he rushes in there, gets this puppy out, and they have these little cubicles that you're supposed to go into with this animal, and you're supposed to stay in there. And so he's like, "Hey, you need to stay here. You're not allowed to leave here without me or another employee, so we can put it back in its um, back in the case, or back where it goes." And which I was like, okay, whatever, great. They don't want people walking out the door with their animals, I guess. But what they do then is they disappear, and so now you're in this little area, and and now you're like this little prisoner there. And so the idea is if they disappear and you can't leave because there's nobody there, now you're going to bond with this animal, and you're going to really want to pay them their $1,500, $2,000, whatever it is, to walk away with the new pet. And so I sat there, and my daughter spent about 8, 10 minutes, whatever, with this animal, and there was still nobody there, and I wanted to leave. I had places to go, and so I got up to leave, and I exited it, and I started calling around, saying, "Hey," and they came out and they got really upset with me for leaving the area with the puppy. And in turn, I got quite upset with them. I was pretty rude, and I said, "Your rules, not mine." And I really laid into him for leaving, so that we did not have the option of exiting that confinement with an employee, and obviously using these manipulation tactics to sell us their animal. And I was pretty direct and blunt, and I wasn't very nice because I was frankly upset about it. We gave the puppy back to the guy, and we left. My daughter was kind of embarrassed about that. But I see this happening in life all the time, especially today with all the wokeness, all the political correctness, all the institutions, and with all these people saying, "Look, if you want to consider yourself to be a moral, virtuous, good person, then you have to comply with these rules that we've come up with. And if you don't, you're a horrible, awful person." And, one example of that, like in the LDS Church, is their whole word of wisdom thing. And I agree, we should be careful about what we eat and drink. And I think it's probably a pretty bad idea to smoke cigarettes and use tobacco and drink buckets of alcohol or whatever. But what's hilarious is if you are seen drinking a cup of coffee around mainstream LDS, card carrying LDS Mormons, then suddenly you are just a terribly wicked, unworthy, horrible person. And you could be sitting there drinking your cup of coffee, standing next to the bishop who's drinking his Mountain Dew or his Dr. Pepper or whatever, and that's fine. That's fine, but drinking coffee isn't. Even though that cup of coffee with a little half and half in there is 1,000 times more healthy than the Mountain Dew or the Dr. Pepper. But it doesn't matter. The culture is you don't drink coffee, but it's perfectly all right to drink these caffeinated, high sugar, extremely unhealthy drinks that are sold in cans that didn't even exist um, 80 years ago, or back in the 1830s when the Word of Wisdom came out. And so there's just so many crazy things that come out in terms of society saying, hey, here's the things you're allowed to say, here's the things you're not allowed to say, here's the things you have to do, and here are the things that you must not do in order to be accepted as a moral, virtuous, righteous person. The example I was just watching in that video, I was watching this video with Jordan Peterson and Piers Morgan back after the whole George Floyd thing. Apparently someone had said, hey, to be supportive of Black Lives Matter, blah, 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 on your social media post, we want you to display a black square so that, we can have solidarity with this, and everybody can show how virtuous they are, how righteous they are, and compassionate they are, and so forth. And then Piers Morgan did a show, and he did not display the black square. And all of a sudden, his kids were getting all kinds of flack. He was getting all kinds of hate mail from everybody. How dare you not display the black square? And he was like, I'm not doing it. I'm not going to simply do something just because you guys all say it's the thing to do, which I think is frankly quite useless and hypocritical. And then there's no substance to it. He made the point that if you're really a compassionate, caring person, and if you really have any love or concern, you're going to actually do something that costs you something. There's going to be sacrifice involved. There's going to be something that you actually give and give up. There's a price that you're going to pay to actually show support and to be helpful in making things better, rather than just mindlessly displaying a black square, on your whatever social media thing it is. And what's funny about social media is we have all these social media outlets like TikTok and Instagram and whatnot, and I honestly don't even know what any of them are. I got these kids that talk about their various forms of social media, and they refer to these things that I don't even know what they are because I don't even use them. I'm just like, what's that? I have no idea. The only social media I have is my email and WhatsApp app and forms of direct communication I have with people. And then I have my YouTube channel, I guess, but and I'll admit, the whole YouTube channel thing is a kind of a rabbit hole, because it's easy to try to use that. It's like, what, I want to do a really great video and get a bunch of likes and whatnot, and to give myself validation, which is really hilarious because frankly most of my videos only get between 30 and 50 views, and so it's not like I have at all any kind of an awesome internet presence. Very, very few people watch my videos anyway, so it's not like I'm famous or anything. I simply use my YouTube videos as an outlet to express myself and to share whatever little treasures I might have with whoever happens to come along and wants to see what Jared Easley thinks. And whether it gets 10 views or 100 views or 1,000 views or 10,000 views, I can't say it doesn't matter to me, because it does matter to me, because I'd like to have an influence. I'd like people to pay attention to what I have to offer, but I don't really worry about it. I'm not sitting here calculating how to get more views with my videos. What I am trying to do is make sure that when I do post something, that it's something that's worth your time watching. And quite frankly, especially this last year, last 7 months, I've actually made quite a few videos that never went public. I never went public, and that's not because there wasn't some really good content there. Usually if it does not go public, I market private. I never market public. Usually that's because things are too personal. Um, I share too much information about myself or others, or I just don't feel good about the quality of the presentation being where it needs to be to actually share it with somebody. I want people who select my videos to watch to feel a fairly high degree of confidence that, hey, Jared's got something to say. It's probably going to be worth my time to go and to view that and see what he has to say about this. And so, in terms of this whole idea, coming back to this idea of your rules, not mine. Um, what are my rules anyway? Am I the guy who thinks that he's above the law and those rules don't apply to me? Definitely not. Um, I definitely have rules that I adhere to, and for me, the rule of law refers to the laws of God. And so in my life, what I'm trying to do is identify the laws that God has established, His rules, His principles, and abide by those. And there's something called the law of the Spirit, which I try to abide by, and that is simply follow what Jesus Christ is directing you to do. Follow your conscience, follow the light of Christ, do what's right, do what's best based on the inspiration and revelation of the Holy Spirit, not based on what an individual or an institution or a government says you need to do. Now, of necessity, there are a lot of rules, a lot of laws out there, which I definitely do my best to adhere to. As a professional pilot, I've got the Federal Aviation Regulations. I've got volumes of books with rules and regulations that I'm supposed to be abiding by, and I do my best to stay out of trouble there. What's funny about that, especially when it comes into legal code, is there are literally hundreds of thousands, if not millions, of rules and regulations that I'm supposed to be knowledgeable of and adhere to, and there's absolutely no way I can even that I can maintain uh, memorized awareness of even 1% of it. There's no way. And so I have to identify what really applies to me and what I need to know for what I'm doing and comply with that the best I can. And so that's one thing that the world does, especially when you get things like all these institutions, all these governments. They're going to completely saturate all of human existence with a million laws and rules which you can't possibly even follow. But in a court of law, you're expected to know all of them and abide by all of them, even though it's completely impossible to do so. And so that's why it comes back to simply becoming as knowledgeable and understanding of you as you can of what the scriptures say, and learning how to live your life according to the law of the Holy Spirit. Um, it's kind of a tricky thing sometimes because I think most of us are rule followers. We should be rule followers, but there's times where I'm obviously not, and it's sometimes difficult to discern where am I being honest or where am I being dishonest. One big example is hotels. I've like this in a week we're packing up the family. We're gonna go up to a family reunion at a lake in northern Utah, and then we're gonna head west. And I was just booking a hotel to stay at, and I got a Hampton Inn with my hotel points. It's 50,000 points for one night. There's gonna be 8 of us, and so I got one room with 2 queen size beds, and it sleeps 4, but we're gonna have 8 people in there. Um, is that dishonest? Is that okay? I think it's fine. Just because the fire department or the county has said, well, you're only allowed to have this many people in there. Look, that's my space. That's my space. I don't mind. We'll have 4 or 5 people in beds. We'll have the little kids in sleeping bags. We just need a place to crash for the night. But I know that it makes my wife nervous. You know, we'll come in after dark. We'll park at the side of the hotel. I'll go in, check in, and we'll sneak in through the side door, um, and so as not to raise suspicion. We'll try and be quiet, and it'll usually work out. But is that okay? Is that okay? Well, I don't want to spend 100,000 points or what would be over $400 just for an extra room just to comply with their fire code. So, you know, there's a million applications for this. Uh, so, this idea, your rules, not mine, I want to do what I feel like, what I sincerely feel like is best, that which has the best value, the best benefit, the best outcome. And I don't always have the luxury of being able to comply with all the thousands and millions of rules that the state comes up with. I just had to take this course because apparently Utah just passed a new law that if you want to do any kind of water recreation that involves small boats like paddle boards or kayaks, or whatever, you have to take this online course and get a certificate and display it in your vehicle and have it available for these water Nazis to inspect. And so I had to spend 30 minutes taking this online course because they're protecting me. So I did the course because I know that I could very realistically be tagged and asked. They'll want to see that I've done this training. And I can kind of see the reason why they did that. There's a lot of damage done in these states with these different mussels or whatever being transported from different waterways to others, and they take over the indigenous species. It causes lots of damage. But there's and so the state's solution is more rules, more regulations, more training. That's not always the best way to go. Raising awareness doesn't always require that you have to pass more laws to make things more safe or more better for everybody. So yeah, it can really be a conundrum in terms of knowing how to make things better, especially when you're charged with managing outdoor resources. It's in Oregon apparently they passed some laws recently that limit how many nights you can camp at these campgrounds because they have people camping there for a long time, and then people who want to come in and camp there can't do it. And so apparently now, I can't remember what the rule is, but you're limited to how many nights you can camp in a month anywhere or throughout the year. This actually really irritates me because I like to travel. I love to camp. I like to go to different places, and I'm always like wondering, why don't they just make more campgrounds? The population is dramatically increasing, and why do you only have this little one campground area? You got billions of acres here. Put in some more campgrounds. Allow people to experience the great outdoors. But of course, we have all kinds of issues with overpopulation now. Part of that is because of just how many people they're bringing into the United States. Now it's just insane. And that's a whole ball of wax I'm not going to get into. But anyway, yeah. My saying is, your rules, not mine.